All right, you filthy animals. We're back for more Dragon Age, the Veilguard.
Oh, yeah.
And this time we're going deep on the game's dialogue.
Buckle up.
You guys know how this goes. We hit you up for your feedback, and holy shit, you guys delivered.
It's like opening Pandora's box.
Big time. It seems
Ah.
like everybody's got a damn opinion on whether the writing in this game is a masterpiece or a total dumpster fire.
Jury's still out on that one.
For sure. But today we're bringing in a real heavy hitter.
Oh. Lay it on me.
A YouTube video essay from Sungrand Studios, and it's called Writer Breaks Down, Analyzes the Incompetent Dialogue Writing of Dragon Age, the Veilguard.
Oh, that's a mouthful.
This guy, he's both a writer and developer, and let me tell you, he does not hold back.
Sounds spicy.
He straight up calls the dialogue incompetent and says it points to some bigger issues with the writing as a whole.
Shots fired.
So we're going to break down his arguments, see if they hold water, and maybe have a few laughs along the way you're down.
I'm in. Let's tear this shit apart.
Hell yeah. All right, so this essayist dude kicks things off with a scene with Karash, Tosh, and Rook.
Oh, God, those three.
Remember those clowns, right?
How could I forget?
Basically, Tosh is trying to get Karash to eat some fruit instead of cookies.
Sounds riveting.
Right. But here's where our essayist friend goes in for the kill. He says the whole exchange is like a master class in how not to write dialogue. He says it lacks any logical flow, the characters sound like robots reciting lines, and it fails to do like any of the things that good dialogue is supposed to do.
So basically a complete failure on all fronts.
Pretty much, yeah. Big yikes.
Yeah, not great start. So what's he saying good dialogue should actually do?
He says dialogue has three main purposes.
Yeah.
Reveal character relationships and their mental states, move the damn plot forward, and probably the most important one, keep the audience engaged.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and he says that scene from Dragon Age fails on all three of those.
Oof, that's rough. But okay, let's get into the specifics. What exactly is so bad about the flow of that scene?
Well, for starters, when Karash says they like cookies better, Tosh replies with, everyone likes the cookies better.
Seriously, that's the best they could come up with.
I know, right? It's like the writers forgot that characters are supposed to have, like individual preferences.
Yeah, it's clunky as hell. And I bet it doesn't get any better.
Oh, it gets so much worse.
Get me?
Then Rook chimes in with some random-ass comment about the Dragon Hunter having a softer side.
What? Where the hell did that come from?
Exactly. It has absolutely nothing to do with the whole cookie conversation.
Sounds like the writers were on some serious drugs.
It's like they just threw that line in there just to, like, try and foreshadow some future plot point.
Yeah.
But it feels so forced.
So basically, the connections between the lines are just all over the place. It's not a conversation. It's just a bunch of random statements strung together.
Exactly. And the essayist is arguing that this whole lack of logical flow, it's actually like a symptom of a much bigger problem. He calls it familiarity.
Familiarity.
Yeah, he says it's like a stage of incompetence where, the basic rules of writing dialogue, like you've seen it done before, but you haven't actually mastered the craft.
Interesting. So you're familiar with the form, but you're not actually competent in using it.
Exactly. You're just going through the motions, churning out these lines that sound kind of like conversation, but they lack any real depth or purpose.
Kind of like those AI chatbots everyone's freaking out about.
Totally. And to prove his point, he brings in the big guns. Examples from his own work.
Oh, this I gotta hear. Let's see what this guy's got.
First up, we've got a scene from his Game Boy game, Silver Falls. Galaxy-bound curse.
Wait, a Game Boy game? Seriously?
You heard right, a frickin' Game Boy game.
Okay, color me intrigued.
It's this tense scene where the main character, this sheriff guy, is interrogating a young dude named Sam. And Sam's like having a complete meltdown.
Damn.
They're trying to get info about Sam's dad, Eli, who apparently kidnapped a kid.
Sounds a lot more interesting than the cookie debate.
Right. And the essayist uses this scene to show how his dialogue achieves those three main objectives that we were talking about.
Okay, yeah, I can see where he's going with this. He wants to show us the difference between just writing dialogue and writing dialogue that actually serves a purpose.
Bingo. He breaks it down and shows how his scene has stronger logical flow and character development and how it actually, moves the plot forward.
All right, lay it on me. What are some specific examples?
Okay, so he points at this one line where Sam cries out, I couldn't stop him. I wanted to so badly, but I couldn't.
Damn, that's heavy.
It's raw, it's emotional, and it tells you everything you need to know about Sam's inner turmoil and his relationship with his dad.
You can practically hear the kid's voice cracking. It's not just information, it's like pure emotion.
Exactly. And that's what's missing from that Dragon Age scene.
Huh.
The characters are just talking at each other. There's no emotional depth, no connection.
So one for the essayist. All right, what about the second example? The one from his novel, right?
Yeah, it's from Silver Falls, Heavy Shadow. He reads an excerpt where a character named Dodger finds his buddy, Iron, just completely broken down after this brutal fight with his wife.
Oof.
Iron's like sobbing his eyes out, clutching this crushed box of what turns out to be key lime and pecan cheesecake.
Key lime and pecan.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, that sounds delicious.
But anyway, the essayist is quick to point out that this scene, even though it's totally different in like tone and setting, achieves those same objectives as that Dragon Age scene, but in a way more effective and nuanced way.
Interesting.
He's showing us how dialogue can reveal a character's desires and motivations without resorting to those clunky exposition dumps that we see so often.
Show, don't tell.
Exactly. So he focuses on this tiny but really significant detail.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Dodger offers Iron his last beer, even though he's supposed to be driving them back to town.
I see what he's doing there. It's not about what's said, it's what's implied. Actions speak louder than words and all that.
Exactly. And later in the scene, Dodger drops this line. Things that get broken can be fixed. Things that get ruined can be unruined. A man can't let other people go around destroying things that he likes.
Damn, that's good.
It's not a direct response to Iron's pain, but it hits him right where it hurts.
Yeah, you can feel the weight of that line.
It forces Iron to, like, confront his own feelings about the situation.
That's powerful stuff. And that's what's missing from Dragon Age. The Veilguard, right?
Bingo. Good dialogue. It's about showing, not telling. You want the audience to feel the characters' emotions and understand their motivations without being spoon-fed every little detail.
It's about creating a world that feels real and lived in.
And that's where Dragon Age, the Veilguard, falls flat on its face.
Sounds like this essayist is calling bullshit on the whole thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He wraps up by saying that the dialogue sucks because it lacks logical flow, it fails to reveal any real character depth, and it just straight up doesn't engage the audience.
Damn, that's harsh. But you know what? He's laid out his case, he's given us his examples. Now it's up to us to decide if we agree with him.
Damn right.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to do in the next part of this deep dive.
Don't wait.
We'll dig a little deeper into this whole familiarity versus competence thing, and we'll discuss whether Dragon Age deserves all this hate.
Let's do it.
Stay tuned.
I'm not going anywhere. Okay, so let's circle back to this whole familiarity versus competence thing for a sec.
Yeah.
It's a pretty interesting idea, right?
Probably.
Like, just because you're familiar with something doesn't mean you're actually good at it.
Yeah, it's like you can write a million lines of dialogue, but if you're not thinking about all the little things, you know.
The nuances.
Yeah, the nuances, the subtext, the emotional undercurrents, then you're just spinning your wheels.
Right. You're not actually writing good dialogue. You're just filling space.
Exactly. And the essayist seems to think that the writers of Dragon Age, the Veilguard, they've kind of fallen into that trap.
Like they're just phoning it in.
Yeah. They're comfortable with all those basic conventions of video game dialogue, so they're not really pushing themselves to do anything like, you know, interesting or memorable.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because at one point he even throws out this idea that maybe AI is writing the dialogue.
I know, right?
Which is just like, whoa, hold up, what?
Yeah, are we even sure humans made this game?
But then he kind of dismisses the AI theory pretty quickly.
Yeah, he's like, nah, even an AI would probably write better dialogue than what we're seeing here.
He thinks it's just straight up human error.
Yeah, plain and simple.
But it's interesting, though, because he brings up his background, you know? Like, he's got experience in training and assessment and professional writing. Like, he really wants to let us know that he's not just some rando ranting on YouTube.
Right, he's got the receipts.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's still just this one dude's opinion, right?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, tons of people love Dragon Age. The Veilguard, and that's totally cool.
Yeah, to each their own.
Yeah, we're not here to judge anybody's taste.
Exactly. We're just trying to have this conversation about the game's rating, you know?
Yeah.
And see if maybe, just maybe, there's some truth to what this guy's saying.
Right on. So let's get back to his main points.
Okay.
He says the dialogue lacks logical flow. It doesn't really reveal anything interesting about the characters, and it just straight up doesn't engage the audience.
So does he actually have a point?
Well, I mean, based on the scene that he showed us, it's kind of hard to disagree.
Yeah.
That whole cookie conversation is just, like, so awkward and forced.
Ugh, don't remind me.
And then that random comment about the dragon hunter. I mean, come on.
It was so jarring. It took me right out of the scene.
Totally. It's like the writers were trying to, like, cram all this plot and character stuff into the dialogue.
Right.
But they forgot to make it sound like an actual conversation. You know?
Like they were checking off boxes on some list instead of writing something that actually flows.
Exactly. And it's frustrating, you know?
Yeah.
Because they're missing out on so many chances to do something really cool with the dialogue.
Right. Like that whole thing about subtext that he keeps talking about.
Yeah.
Using dialogue to show not just the information, you know, but the emotions, the motivations, all that stuff that's bubbling under the surface.
And that's something that video games really struggle with, I think.
Oh, for sure. They're so focused on action and all the spectacle, they kind of forget that dialogue can be just as powerful.
Yeah, it's true. But when you think about some of the most memorable moments in video games, a lot of them are driven by dialogue.
Oh, absolutely. A single line, like delivered the right way, it can stay with you forever.
Yeah.
It can make you laugh, cry, think, change the way you see the world, all that good stuff.
Like that scene with the cheesecake from the essayist's novel.
Yeah.
It would have been so easy to just have Iron explain how he felt about his wife, to just like dump all that information on us.
Right.
But instead, he shows us the emotion through those little details.
Yeah, the crushed cheesecake box, the tears, it's all there.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And then Dodger's response, it's so subtle but so powerful.
He doesn't force Iron to talk. He just sits with him, offers him a beer. It's a really beautiful moment.
And that's what's missing from Dragon Age. The Veilguard. The characters are talking, but they're not really connecting, you know?
Yeah. There's no sense of intimacy, vulnerability.
And it's a shame because the Dragon Age world is so rich, you know?
Yeah.
There's so much lore and potential for these complex relationships.
But if the dialogue's not there, none of that really matters.
Yeah. It's like they had all the ingredients for an amazing meal, but they ended up serving us a microwave dinner.
Ugh, the worst. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. What did you think about him spending so much time on his own work?
I think it was pretty ballsy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, who compares their own stuff to a big-budget video game?
That takes guts.
But I get why he did it, you know? He wanted to show us, not just tell us, what good dialogue looks like.
Right, and I think he actually pulled it off.
Yeah. And he's not saying that his stuff is perfect either.
Oh, no, for sure.
Yeah.
He even admits that he's still learning.
But he's clearly put in the work, you know? He's thought about how to write dialogue that actually works.
Yeah, dialogue that engages you on, like, a deeper level.
And that's what we should all be striving for, right?
Totally. Whether we're writing a novel or a screenplay or even just a damn text message.
Yeah, it's about being mindful of the words we use and how they're going to land.
Exactly. So where do we go from here?
Yeah.
We've talked about his critique, we've looked at his examples, we've gone back and forth on Dragon Age's dialogue. So what's the big takeaway? What do we want people to walk away with?
I think the biggest takeaway is that dialogue is powerful.
Oh, yeah.
It can be used to tell stories, reveal characters, make you feel things, create whole worlds.
Absolutely.
But it's also something that needs to be handled carefully, you know.
With precision.
Yeah, with precision and with a deep understanding of how people actually work.
And that's something that we, as people who play these games and watch these movies and read these books, we should be demanding from the creators, you know?
Yeah, we deserve better.
We deserve dialogue that's not just functional, but like engaging, thought-provoking, even mind-blowing sometimes.
Damn, that's deep. I think I need another beer.
Me too. But seriously, you hit the nail on the head. We should hold these game developers to a higher standard.
Yeah.
We deserve good dialogue.
Right. We deserve dialogue that's not just functional, but actually good, you know?
Absolutely. And this essayist, he's trying to raise the bar.
Yeah.
He's challenging us to think more critically about the dialogue that we're consuming and to demand more from the stories that we love.
Word. All right, let's take a quick break, refill our drinks, and then come back to wrap this whole thing up.
Sounds good to me. Okay, so we spent like the last hour just totally ripping into Dragon Age. The Veilguard's dialogue.
I know, right? It's brutal.
But hey, it's important stuff.
Totally. Dialogue can make or break a game for sure.
No doubt. Think about all those games that really stick with you, the ones you can't stop thinking about.
Yeah.
It's usually the characters and the dialogue that have that kind of power.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A well-written line can stay with you for years, you know?
Yeah, it can make you laugh or cry or think or even change the way you see the world.
Totally. So, like, how do you write dialogue that's actually good? What's the secret sauce?
Well, I think the essayist hit on some key points, you know, logical flow, character development, subtext.
Yeah.
But I think it all boils down to one thing. Authenticity.
Authenticity.
Yeah, does the dialogue feel real? Like, does it sound like something a real person would say?
Okay, yeah, I get that. Like, you can have all the technical stuff down, right?
Yeah.
Perfect grammar, witty banter, all that jazz.
But if it doesn't sound authentic, if it doesn't feel real, it's just going to fall flat.
Totally. And that's where so much video game dialogue goes wrong, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It tries too hard to be funny or cool, and it loses that sense of, like, naturalism.
It's like it was written by a committee instead of an actual person.
It's like those cheesy lines you see in bad action movies.
Oh, God, yes.
You know, like, I'll be back.
Get to the chopper.
It's supposed to be cool, but it just sounds so fake.
Yeah, it takes you right out of the moment.
And that's what happened to me with Dragon Age, the Veilguard, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I just couldn't connect with any of the characters because the dialogue felt so stiff and artificial.
It's like they were just reading from a script.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to that whole subtext thing.
Right.
Good dialogue isn't just about what the characters are saying. It's about all the stuff they're not saying.
Yeah, all those little pauses, hesitations, the way they say things.
It's those subtle things that reveal their true feelings, you know?
And Dragon Age. The Veilguard doesn't have any of that.
Nope, it's all surface level.
There's no depth, no nuance.
And without that subtext, the dialogue just becomes predictable.
And boring. There's no tension, no mystery, no reason for us to care.
So how do you even create subtext? Like, is it something you can just learn? Or is it more like, I don't know, an instinct?
I think it's a bit of both, honestly. I mean, you definitely got to have a good understanding of how people work. You know, like how we communicate with each other.
Yeah.
But it's also about being really observant.
Observant.
Yeah, paying attention to the way people talk, the things they say, and the things they don't say.
So it's like being a spy, but for dialogue.
Exactly. You're trying to figure out all those hidden messages, you know?
All the stuff that's going on beneath the surface.
And that's what separates the good writers from the bad ones.
Right. The ones who can write dialogue that's not just entertaining, but actually makes you think.
The ones who give you a glimpse into the human soul, you know?
Damn, that's some deep shit. So, like, what's the final verdict on Dragon Age? The Veilguard. Is it a total wash?
I think it depends what you're looking for in a game, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, if you just want a fun, mindless RPG to kill some time, then yeah, you might not even notice the shitty dialogue.
But if you're someone who actually cares about good writing.
Yeah, if you want to be immersed in a world that feels real, then you're going to be disappointed.
Which is kind of a bummer, honestly. I really wanted to love this game.
I know. It's like going to a fancy restaurant and ordering a steak that looks incredible, but then it tastes like cardboard.
God, the worst. All right, so I guess the big takeaway here is that even the most beautiful, action-packed games can fall apart if the dialogue is trash.
Word. So, game developers, if you're listening, pay attention.
Yeah.
Don't skimp on the dialogue. Hire good writers, give them the freedom to do their thing, and maybe, just maybe, you'll create a game that's both fun and smart.
Preach. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of video game dialogue.
And remember, next time you're playing a game, really pay attention to the dialogue.
Yeah.
Is it serving the story? Is it telling us something about the characters? Is it making you think?
If not, maybe it's time to demand more.
Absolutely.
All right, until next time, stay curious and keep those brains buzzing.
See ya.